The West Virginia Mountaineers absolutely bulldozed the Oklahoma Sooners as they came into Morgantown for a night tip-off last night in Morgantown. I'm going to react to that and more on this episode of Hoops from the Hills. What is up, guys, and welcome in. My name is Mountaineer Paul, and you have landed yourself here at another edition of Hoops from the Hills. And I got to tell you guys, I'm without my podcast and YouTube partner, Coos, today. He was at the game live representing Hoops from the Hills. Can't ask for much more than that. And it was a gem, right? He had a good time last night. He was able to see the Mountaineers play probably their most complete game of the season. There's been a couple games where you can say the Mountaineers played really well. We talk about this game from last night against Oklahoma. You talk about, obviously, the Pitt game. Obviously, there's the Florida game to talk about, and a couple others where we played well for a half here, 10 minutes there. But rarely have we put two halves together like we did last night. And it was all spearheaded by Eric Stevenson. He's come back on, folks. We know he's a freaky shooter. Last night, he drops a career-high 34 points on the Oklahoma Sooners' head. He was motivated. He was talking. He was chirping. Bob Huggins had nothing to say but great things about Eric Stevenson after the game. Oh, by the way, something I was talking to Coos about off-screen was Bob Huggins once again uses the media the day before the game to, in my opinion, motivate these players. Talking about he believes they're going to survive and advance in the tournament, believes they're going to get to the tournament, made a bunch of basically bold predictions, and so he wrote some checks. The team went out and cashed, right? So I get Bob Huggins props. I think he saw this. You got to think. Normally, a coach has 4 years to figure out what makes his team tick. In this day and age, you have a year to try to figure out, especially on a team like West Virginia, 5 seniors that start, only 1 or 2 of them have been with the team, right? So when you've got a situation like that, you're trying to figure things out on the fly, and I feel like Hugs is still trying to figure out exactly how to motivate this team, and he's gone to the media a couple times to do that. So let's get a recap of what happened. Obviously spearheaded by Eric Stevenson's 34 points. 6 rebounds, 3 assists. He was everywhere last night. He was making tough, contested shots. Basically, every time Oklahoma made some type of comeback, because they did try to come back a couple of times, Eric Stevenson was there to break their back with a big-time shot. He was chirping. He was in their heads. It's what he does best, and when it's working, it works really well for the Mountaineers. Also, Kedrian Johnson, who has just been excellent this year, has been one of the best guards in the Big 12, once again shows up with another 16-point performance and rather quiet, which everything looks a little quiet next to Eric Stevenson's 34 points. But I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention James Okonkwo, who I think may have gotten his first double-double of his career last night. He had 10 points, 10 rebounds in 14 minutes. The epitome of efficiency. Extremely proud of the strides that he has taken this year. You got to think, guys, he was only 17 and 18 years old when he showed up in Morgantown last year. Out of country. He's from England, like Bob Huggins says. He talked funny. And so there was a big adjustment for him. And you've seen it show up. Oh, by the way, let's look at some team stats. So there's a couple things you watch when this Mountaineer team wins basketball games. Couple stats to watch, right? Low turnovers, high assists, high field goal percentage, and a high free throw percentage usually equal wins for this team. And I know that usually equals wins for every team, but it's been especially true for this team this year. Last night, West Virginia, only 10 turnovers. Bob Huggins will live with that, especially after some of the debacles we've had. The Mountaineers shooting 77.9% from the free throw line, 40% from 3, 46.9% field goal percentage on the day. A really nice offensive outing for the Mountaineers. 93 points is just a heck of a lot in college. You don't see that number a lot. And it wasn't like this was a game where the Mountaineers turned Oklahoma a ton. Yes, they turned them over 16 times. But, I mean, we've seen West Virginia turn teams over 20, 25 times in a game before and still lose. I think this was that sweet spot where they were able to steal the ball, get out in transition, They were able to get rebounds and get out in transition. They out rebounded Oklahoma 43-35 on the day. And so that's a big stat to me. Tanner Grove, especially, was in foul trouble the entirety of the game. And if you look on my Twitter last night, I put on Twitter last night, Bob Huggins has shown why he's a Hall of Fame coach going after Tanner Groves early. And then he all but confirmed that in the post-game presser. Yes, part of the strategy was to get Tanner Groves in foul trouble. And I think it bode well for the Mountaineers because he's been a thorn in the side. He's somebody that's really tough to box out. He really had a great game against West Virginia on the boards last time. And so keeping him on the bench was big. They let Sherfield get his, and really everybody else was kept in check. One of the better defensive performances of the season for West Virginia as far as assignment, alignment, and rotation goes. Really great job overall by the Mountaineers. So if you've enjoyed this episode, guys, all I ask is that you should please subscribe to the Hoops from the Hills channel. We'd really appreciate that. And if you have anything to say about last night's victory, you want to celebrate, you want to rub it in Oklahoma's face, you want to chant SEC like they were at the game last night, drop a comment below. It was hilarious hearing the crowd chanting SEC for Oklahoma. You want it, you ask for it, you're going to get it. Have fun in the SEC. I'm going to drop down and play some lesser talent. Maybe you'll get some more W's. But it was nice to see West Virginia pull this game out, guys. Obviously, it was a must-win. I think if we would win our home games the rest of the way, my early season prediction was this team was going to be between 18 and 20 wins. They're going to peak at the end of the year. And it looks like we're heading towards that when you look at the last 2 weeks plus, wins over TCU, Auburn, and Oklahoma. Things are looking really good, guys. Let me know what you think. Let Coos know what you think. And if you missed Coos, a little message down below telling him you missed him today, guys. All right. Hope you enjoyed this episode of Hoops from the Hills, guys. We're going to be previewing the next game as soon as we can. But until then, this has been another edition of Hoops from the Hills. My name is Mountaineer Paul. This episode is over, and I'm out.